What's going on YouTube? I'm JerryNova. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be covering 5 things you need to be doing in order to transfer to mouse and keyboard more smoothly. Okay, so my reasoning for making this video is because I recently had to switch from controller to mouse and keyboard. And for those of you who have been in my streams, you already know this, but my PlayStation 4 is pretty much shot. It's not working. It blue screens like 5 times a day, and I have corrupted data, which I don't know where it came from. I'm clueless. Also, small disclaimer, my girlfriend is making ornaments in the background, so you may hear a few noises, but that's okay. We're just getting in the Christmas spirit. I got a tree. I got a tree here. All right, so tip number 1, we're going to jump right into it. Loosen up. Don't stay too stiff. It's ruining your shot. When I first started playing, my body was super rigid. My arm was rigid, and it was just shaking across the screen, and I didn't know why. It's because I was too stiff. You have to loosen up. Now, you may be surprised as to how well you snap onto a target, but tracking that target can be very tricky. So I want you guys to raise your arm with me. I know it's going to be silly, but it's going to help you, and I'm going to show you how it's supposed to look, this super white washed out arm. All right, everyone raise your hand. Now, repeat after me. I swear I will subscribe to JerryNova's channel. So when you're moving, you want to just move with flow. You don't want to just have your arm stiff. Like when you're using a controller, you just move your thumb, right? But it's not like your thumb is moving like this. You have a little bit of that motion in the bend in your thumb. It's the same way, but now that bend in your thumb is the flick of the wrist. No, that bend in your thumb is now a little bit of movement in the wrist. So as you're moving across the screen, it's like painting, Mr. Miyagi style. You want a little bit of that motion with the wrist. Same thing. Just stay smooth. And remember, this is going to take time. And even though you realize now that you need to move with flow, you can't be rigid and stiff, you're still going to be rigid and stiff. When you feel yourself getting that way, relax, calm down, remind your body, chill out. Raise your shoulders, drop them down. Do whatever you got to do to reset that arm and stay loose. It's going to help, I promise. Now, moving into tip number 2, finding your sensitivity. The biggest mistake that most people make, including myself, when switching from controller to mouse and keyboard is choosing a sensitivity that's way too high for proper movement. Now, there are 2 things that can affect this. It's the in-game sensitivity is one, but then on top of that, you have your mouse DPI. Now, DPI, I think it's like decimeters per square inch. You don't need to know what it means. All you need to know is how it works. So if you have a 400 DPI and an 800 DPI, that's like a sensitivity for your mouse alone. So it's a setting of your mouse, and when you move it, if you have an 800, it's going to move much quicker than if you have 400. So you need to choose your in-game setting based on what you have your DPI set to. My DPI when I play is set to 400, so my in-game sensitivity is around 8.6 to 8.9, somewhere in there. If I had an 800 DPI, I might have to chop that down to like a 4 sensitivity to make up for that difference, if that makes sense. Now that in-game sensitivity, you'd be surprised, but most pro players have a lower sensitivity than you'd think. In this tip built in, I'm going to say, give yourself as much mouse space as you can on your mouse pad. You'll notice players like Tfue, a lot of pro Fortnite players often play with their keyboard sideways. It's not a style points thing. They just want to give themselves more room here than if the keyboard were laid out sideways. They'd have to stop before they get there. They're giving themselves as much freedom with that mouse arm as they can get. This way they can be as accurate as possible at a sensitivity that they're comfortable at. The more room you have to move your mouse across your mouse pad without having to stop because you've run out of room, you're obviously going to be able to have a lower sensitivity. One of my starter tips for you is to find a sensitivity that you can use where you can move your mouse from the far left side of your mouse pad all the way to the right where there's no more room anymore. And if you've done a full 360, choose that sensitivity. Any less, you're probably moving too slow of a sensitivity, and any more, it might be a little too fast. Making those short movements, especially when tracking targets at range, it can make it pretty difficult. That brings us to tip number 3. The reason I say find your own sensitivity, number 3, don't just copy your favorite streamer's settings. Now, as much as this can help you try to get a starting point, I don't think that it's going to help a lot of you really hone in on your mouse and keyboard skills. When we're watching our favorite streamers, YouTubers, content creators, we often watch them because we want to play like them, right? One thing to keep in mind, though, is that your favorite YouTuber, streamer, content creator who plays on mouse and keyboard has probably been doing it for years and has their settings tuned to their own gameplay style. As you're learning, you may have to tweak these settings to make them work for you, because settings don't make a good player. A good player chooses settings to make them even better. So that brings us to the next part of tip 3. Your key bindings need to be your own. They're super customizable. You can choose the key bindings that your favorite streamer uses, but remember, they're used to moving on a keyboard in a way that you're not, and they may be able to reach the G for grenade better than you, so you may have to bind it to Z or X. You're going to need to switch those settings to work for you. With key bindings, I will say that most gaming mice, at least most gaming mice that came out in recent years, they should have them. They have bindable buttons to your keys. So for me, in Call of Duty, when I need to mount, I press this top button here. If I want to melee, I can press this lower button here. I'll have my thumb right here able to just click that at will instead of going for a key that's super far away from my hand where I might possibly lose my fingers. So tip number 3, just to recap, don't copy your favorite streamer, YouTuber, content creator settings. Make your key bindings your own, and again, utilize that mouse button if you can. And that brings us to tip number 4. Again, going back to that favorite streamer and YouTuber content creator, tip number 4, don't just copy your favorite streamer, content creator, YouTuber's setup. If your favorite streamer or YouTuber has average equipment, an average Logitech keyboard with a Logitech mouse, by all means, buy away. But a lot of your favorite YouTubers and streamers will have very expensive stuff. Don't hurt your wallet to try and match your setup to your favorite streamer or YouTubers. A good analogy for this is when I was 7, I used to think that the sneaker that you had made you faster. You take the fastest kid in the grade and everyone's like, wow, what sneakers do you have? And they look at his sneakers, it's a New Balance, which, what a dad shoe back then, right? Now they make some pretty cool stuff. But he's got New Balance sneakers, everyone in the grade buys New Balance sneakers, and now they think they're going to be faster, and that's just not the case. Because clearly the sneaker doesn't make you faster, it's the person who has the speed, not the sneaker. And when we look at that, it seems ridiculous, right? Because sneaker doesn't make you faster, but when we look at gaming equipment, we assume it's the gaming equipment that makes a gamer good, when it's just not the case. People often look past it with gaming equipment, and that's why I'm bringing this up as a topic. Now, yes, some equipment and some keyboards and mice and monitors, they're definitely going to be better than the lower end and lower tier stuff, but you don't need the high tier stuff to be good when you're starting off. You don't need to spend a ton of money. A perfect example for this is you can get a Ducky 1-2 Mini for just under $100. That's the one I got and I love it. You can customize the key types so you can get cherry reds, browns, blues, whatever you want, make it your own for under $100. You don't need to buy Tfu's $3,500 custom like metal keyboard to be as good as Tfu. To be as good as Tfu, it's going to take years. Tfu's Tfu. Folks, it's not going to help you reach that G button any better. And kids, it's not going to help you crank 90s faster. Buy an average keyboard. Buy an average mouse. You're just starting off. You don't need to spend that much money. Now that brings me to my final 5th tip for switching to mouse and keyboard. Don't get frustrated and don't give up. I'm no master of mouse and keyboard. I've been playing for a few weeks now. I've seen a lot of growth since the time that I started. I was getting frustrated in that first week and it was only making things worse. I was getting tight and angry and I wasn't hitting my shots because I was distracted. Everyone knows an angry gamer is not going to be a good gamer. You can't just get mad. It's going to cloud your mind. Now, if you're like me and you've been playing on controller for your entire life, specifically Call of Duty for 12 to 13 years, multiplayer, online, with a controller, mouse and keyboard is going to be a little bit strange. And like me, you may be pretty bad when you first start off, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be stuck there. We were all bad when we started on controller. Even if we don't want to believe it and our ego's getting in our head, we weren't the best with controller, and through the years we got better. Our game sense got better. We played better. It's just going to take time. And the reason that I chose these 5 specific tips is because they helped me out a ton and I want them to help you too. I started using these methods and my shot got way cleaner and I got close to my highest kill game. I was only 4 kills away from it. And that was me playing for months on controller. You see what I'm saying? When you practice, you're going to get better. And I decided to make this tip video because it helped me and I want to make the transition to mouse and keyboard as smooth as possible for all of you at home. I know it can be tricky. I know it can be frustrating, but we're in this together. We're mouse and keyboard players now. So I hope these tips help you. If they do, let me know down in the comments, drop a like, subscribe, and let me know how long you've been playing mouse and keyboard for in the comments and how the transition's been for you. Don't forget to join the Discord. The link is in the description. You can support the community a little bit more. And if you guys have any questions, help each other out in the comments too. I'll be there as well, but I want to make sure that everyone can kind of make this transition as smooth as possible. But happy gaming. I'll catch you in the next video. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Peace.
The summer's cold.